At least 10 people have been found dead on the city streets as the bitter cold stretch continues. And while the exact causes of those deaths are still being investigated, Mayor Mamdani says it's critical that every New Yorker has a warm place to stay.
Extreme weather is not a personal failure, but it is a public responsibility. If we have the resources to act, we have the obligation to act. And we are mobilizing every resource at our disposal to ensure that New Yorkers are brought indoors during this potentially lethal weather event.
For more on this, I want to bring in Dave Giffen, Executive Director of the Coalition for the Homeless. Dave, thank you for joining us on News All Day for such an important topic. Mayor Mamdani just today saying 6 of those 10 people were known to the Department of Homeless Services. Talk about how important it is to get those people in need the resources that they need during a cold stretch like this week.
Well, the reason that we have a legal right to shelter in New York City is because of the acknowledgement of how dangerous it is to sleep outside exposed to the elements. That was the most compelling evidence before the judge who ruled in favor of creating the legal right to shelter back in 1981. It could be as warm as in the low 60s, and you can be subject to hypothermia. So you can imagine when we're talking about this kind of weather where it's 0 degrees or 1 degree outside, how easy it is to succumb to that cold. So it is absolutely lethal to anybody who is sleeping exposed.
Mayor Mamdani has been a critic of involuntary removals, but he did say that in this specific instance, it could be used as a last resort if they are a danger to themselves or others. So what do you make on the mayor's stance specifically on this, or the fact that he has adjusted it to this particular situation that we're dealing with right now?
Well, look, I don't think anybody would argue that you have to do whatever you need to do to help keep somebody alive. That is the first priority. The problem with the previous mayoral administration is that involuntary removals were the policy. It was the way that the city was trying to address the number of unsheltered homeless people in New York City by involuntarily removing them from the subway system and getting them out of sight. But that doesn't work because they weren't being provided in the end with permanent housing, so they would end up back on the streets. Being involuntarily removed is a very traumatic experience for anybody subject to it. That said, there are times when somebody's physical being is in danger, where their lives are in danger. And in that case, it is appropriate to remove somebody utilizing involuntary removal.
Now, if people are accepting the housing and the shelter during these cold winter days that we are discussing, does that then put a strain on the shelter system within the city as well?
Yeah, look, the shelter system is already just about at capacity, but they do have room to bring in anybody that wants to come in and that can come in from the elements. By law, they're compelled to do that because of the legal right to shelter. And in addition to the shelters that are already in place, the city has been opening up warming centers and warming buses. So even if you're somebody that's been in the shelter system before and had a negative experience there and so don't want to come in, that person should still go to a warming bus or a warming center where it's very non-intrusive. It's just a place to come in and get out of the cold and stay alive.
A lot of people had said this first big snowstorm, and now, of course, we're still dealing with the lingering cold, was kind of the first big test of the new administration. Do you have any thoughts on how the current administration has been addressing the homelessness issue, specifically with this storm? Are you encouraged by how the city has been handling it, or is there anything that you wish had been done differently?
Well, look, I know that the city deployed more than 400 outreach workers to go out and try to find people who needed access to a warm place to come, that they opened up the warming buses and the warming centers. But the mere fact that there are 10 people dead, 6 of whom were homeless, I think shows that not enough was done. So it's, a very dramatic way to find out where the shortfalls in the system are. And we're hoping that this new administration takes a different tack than the previous administrations did so that we're not left in this situation the next time a cold front comes.
We're going to leave it there. Dave Giffen, Executive Director of the Coalition for the Homeless. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Great job.
Thank you for watching our YouTube channel. Let Spectrum News be your resource for balanced, in-depth political coverage, and click the subscribe button right here. You can also download our app or watch us on TV to learn more about the candidates, where they stand on the issues, and more. We'll see you then.